The universal manifestation theory, more than a decade ago, long before artificial intelligence existed or scientists began exploring the link between quantum physics and spirituality, I wrote this theory that at the time hardly seemed to interest anyone. The idea was simple but radical. Every thought you have creates not one, but two opposing emotions. Both forces, both emotional states of being, both positive and negative, grow simultaneously, moving in cycles toward the manifestation of that thought. Nothing can exist without the existence of an opposite, and whatever is newly created will also have an opposite. This is what everything is about, the balance of life. After hearing this theory, you might be able to answer the question, were we not made in the image of God? We can already create. We only need to look around us and see that we are indeed capable of manifesting things that once did not exist. So briefly, every thought you send out creates not one, but two opposing forces that grow toward manifestation. At the time, this may have sounded too abstract, too far-fetched, but truth always catches up with us. And now, with recent scientific discoveries, such as the observation of two quantum-entangled photons, literally displaying the yin-yang symbol in 2023, it seems the world is ready for a new understanding of how reality works. What if everything you experience, your successes, failures, desires, and fears, comes from one underlying law that is present in everything? What if, once you understand this universal law, you can create more consciously and powerfully than you ever imagined? This video is about this universal manifestation theory based on science, common sense, and the natural cycles of life we see everywhere. I will try to explain it as simply as possible. Everything in the universe operates according to the principle of duality. Every form of energy has an opposite, and you see it everywhere. Light and darkness, hot and cold, strong and weak, large and small, introvert and extrovert, thick and thin, inhale and exhale, high and low tides, and so much more. But this principle, which we see everywhere, also applies to your thoughts or what you manifest with those thoughts. Every time you think, whether it's a big or small thought, you automatically evoke two opposing forces somewhere in the future. The force that supports your wish, the positive aspect of your thought, but also the force that works against your wish, the negative opposite, which exists to create balance. This might sound far-fetched, but it is what it is, whether we understand it or not. To give an example, when you desire financial abundance, not only does an image of wealth arise, but also an underlying fear of scarcity. Both forces grow simultaneously and together form the cycle that leads to manifestation. The stronger your desire, the stronger the opposing force. Of course, this doesn't sound very attractive, but both forces are essential, even though I'm delivering what seems like bad news. Without the opposites, there is no growth. It can be frustrating to hear that you can't create without experiencing some opposing force, but honestly, you're already experiencing this every day. These are the emotional shifts or emotional fluctuations we go through every day, a constant back and forth movement that can sometimes feel subtle but can also feel very heavy. This cycle, the constant back and forth movement between positive and negative energy, determines whether a thought will ultimately express itself in reality. But there is one crucial factor that determines whether a thought ever becomes reality: our belief in that thought. Belief is not just hope or positive thinking. It is the fundamental force that sustains a thought and leads us through the entire cycle until it manifests in physical form. If you can hold your belief through the sometimes difficult emotional shifts, the manifestation will come. If you change your belief during the buildup of energy toward your manifestation, you literally create a new belief based on a new thought and thus a new goal. You can literally sabotage yourself by interrupting the cycle, actually destroying it, and starting a new cycle based on a new belief, without the first one ever coming to fruition. So in short, as soon as you doubt your chances of success, as soon as you create an alternative or second thought, or lose and change your belief, you interrupt the existing cycle and start a new one, causing the old one to vanish without the manifestation occurring. It's like stopping the back and forth movement of a stick while trying to create fire. If the back and forth stops, the fire will never come. And it can happen for many reasons. You may begin to believe that the stick is wrong, that there's too much wind, that it will never work, but each of these thoughts starts a new cycle while you've interrupted the old one. The same is true for our emotional shifts that we must go through before we can realize a thought. This is how life really works, but let's break down this theory step by step so that everyone can understand it, from the smallest child to the elderly, who have spent their whole lives searching for answers to questions like, why can I manifest small things but not my big dreams? Or the question, why do some people always seem lucky and I don't? The answer to these questions lies in all the things I've already mentioned. See the link between different aspects of life. Combine the balance of life with your emotional shifts, with the natural cycles that want to grow toward a peak moment, and combine this with the science that is now available, and you will see that the answer has been there all along. And that is all I've really done. Draw the right link between accepted science and common sense. Seeing the bigger picture of everything was something that was always inside me. And now, after all these years, it's finally paying off, as if humanity is now ready for it. From being labeled as irrational to strange, to failing 1,000 times but rising 1,001, I've experienced it all, but it was worth testing this theory to the fullest. Now I can finally say it was worth it. But that aside, back to the theory. When you understand and accept this universal law, something fundamental begins to shift in your perception of the world. The idea that we only need positive thoughts to make our dreams come true is too simplistic and incomplete. What we really need is to understand and embrace duality, the opposites that form the foundation of our universe. We not only have the ability to generate positive thoughts, but also the power to recognize and deal with the negative forces that inevitably arise. We should have realized it a long time ago, but the unpleasant experiences in our lives are there for a reason. It's only when we understand negative emotions and don't see them as enemies, but as natural reactions, that we can use them as fuel for our personal growth or for manifesting a thought. It's always two forces that ultimately lead to a desired manifestation. We can't escape this. When we focus only on the positive aspects of our desire without making space for the opposing emotions that arise, we block ourselves from the full creative power within us. The power of duality comes alive when we not only acknowledge the cycle, but actively participate in maintaining the right balance between desire and fear, hope and doubt, light and shadow. This cycle is not something we must avoid, but something we must learn to use. Every time a new thought arises, we not only create a desire for something, but also the space for doubt or fear. This is the universal manifestation law in action. What you do with these opposing forces determines whether you will reach your goal. Do you embrace them and hold your belief, or are you thrown off balance and create a new belief or faith? Imagine you're walking down a path, and every step you take is a decision to either move toward your goal or take another path that doesn't support your desire. So you not only have the power to create, but also to destroy, even before your thoughts have manifested. The beauty of this universal law is that this time between a thought and its manifestation can also be useful. This manifestation time gives us the opportunity to adjust certain goals, intentionally change the direction of our life, or even remove negative beliefs from our life before they result in negative manifestations. So you can change course whenever you want, and that is what having free will really means. It would even be dramatic if every thought manifested instantly, so the time span between a thought and its manifestation is also a gift. It gives you time to recalculate, revise, and ensures we don't destroy ourselves by the foolish statements we've all made. The true power of manifestation lies in your ability to maintain balance in the cycle of emotions and energy triggered by your thoughts. What you think has the power to shape your reality, but the emotions you feel with that thought determine the speed and strength with which your manifestation will express itself. It's not the thought itself, but the energy associated with that thought that attracts the final manifestation. The art of manifestation is therefore not about denying negative emotions, but about acknowledging and embracing them without letting them take control. Of course, there's also the effect of all your previous manifestations, but I'll discuss that later. This is more about how the puzzle of your life takes shape, based on all the old beliefs and statements that beautifully flow together into a wonderful whole, your life. But here's what happens behind the scenes when you're about to manifest something, and we're doing this continuously at every moment. You have a goal in mind, the thought and belief are there, the first emotion has emerged, and from that point onward, you're moving in the direction of the manifestation. We know where we want to go, but what happens in between? That's where the secret of life lies. This is where the emotion shifts begin, back and forth, building in strength until you reach a point where, for example, the greatest fear and the greatest love can no longer grow, the peak moment. That's when the manifestation comes to fruition. Along the way, you have to experience those emotions, the love, but also the anger, the doubt, but also the certainty, the sadness, but also the joy. The only thing that matters then is whether you maintain your belief in your idea or original thought despite those negative emotions that arise. This is why belief and balance have been so important throughout the ages. It's the core of manifestation. If you let go of your belief during uncertain times, you create a new cycle, a new timeline, and the original one disappears, which can be painful. Often, people are on the brink of breaking through, but doubt overwhelms them so much that they destroy the entire cycle. A cycle that was almost completed. Once you grasp this principle, you'll realize that the power to manifest doesn't lie outside of yourself, but deep within. It's a process of inner transformation, where you're not just trying to influence the outside world, but also learning to control and guide yourself through the inevitable struggle between opposing emotions. This is how you can either sabotage yourself unconsciously or empower yourself, depending on how well you can manage the duality of your thoughts and emotions. Emotions are the true language of humanity, which is something that is often overlooked. Imagine you're standing before a big goal, something that might seem far beyond your reach. You think about it, and you feel the excitement of the possibility, but also the fear that it might not work out. Instead of pushing that fear away, you acknowledge it as a necessary part of the process. You feel the power of both the desire and the fear that comes with that desire, and you allow both forces into your awareness without letting them throw you off balance. This is the moment when you're truly capable of manifesting because you're no longer at war with the reality of duality, but working in harmony with it. When you've found the balance between the opposing forces driving your thoughts and emotions, your manifesting power is exponentially enhanced. You now hold the key to mastering the cycles of the universe. Duality is no longer a hindrance, but a tool for transformation. You'll notice that the manifestations that once seemed difficult or out of reach will suddenly appear much more easily and quickly in your life because you've learned how to use the full cycle of manifestation to your advantage. In the science of the universe, everything is about energy, and energy is always in motion. Just as nature has its own cycles of growth and decay, our thoughts and desires follow the same laws. It's our task to understand and master these cycles so we can direct the energy in the direction we want to go. When we fully understand this cycle and bring our beliefs and emotions into harmony, we not only create our own reality, but also contribute to the greater cycle of the universe. The universe is not just a place of chaos, but an ordered structure of opposites that are constantly being kept in balance. This realization gives us the power to create our own reality. You can now understand why some people seemingly effortlessly manifest their desires, while others constantly work against themselves. The difference isn't that one person is luckier than the other, but in how well they can embrace and balance the duality of their own thoughts and emotions. Those who always seem to have luck on their side don't change their belief despite the difficulties that arise. Those who seem to have bad luck keep dropping their belief in a good outcome and create a new cycle with a different destination, usually a negative outcome, as the new thoughts and new beliefs are based on doubt or fear. The key to mastering the universal manifestation theory is, therefore, not just understanding the law of duality, but embracing it. It's only when we accept both sides of the cycle that we can truly manifest change. Instead of fighting the natural emotions that arise, we can learn to use them as fuel for our creations, so they don't work against us, but propel us forward on the path to manifesting our desires. Later, we will even see how this theory could be the reason some people in the past could predict the future, like Nostradamus, because once you understand how balance works, and once you know that one must appear if you wish to experience the other, you may be able to predict when something will appear and when it will unfold. Hopefully, this video gave you more insight into how thoughts manifest, but in the future, I will dive much deeper into this.